So many records, and yet I don't know what to listen to. Okay, let's see. Zeppelin, Doors, Wings, ELO, Beatles, Stones. Haven't listened to these in a while. Yes, I can listen to them again. Hey viewers and everyone watching, my name is David Bell. I'm a filmmaker and a record collector. You may know me from such classic videos as Mr. Taco Hits a Tree and nothing else. So because of my lack of recent videos, I decided to start a new series called Record Reviews, in which case I review a or a group of vinyl records. And maybe I might even review, just do a quick review of random record hauls that I end up getting every once in a while. As a debut episode, I've decided to review the first two of the greatest hits albums released by the Rolling Stones. Big Hits Volume 1, High Tide and Green Grass, and the other one, Through the Past Darkly. Now, this episode may be quite a long one, so for your convenience, in the description below, I put in time codes as to where each song is, where each record starts, just in case you get bored and just want to skip through some stuff. Now, the way that these record reviews are going to work is I'm going to give you how I remember the record, because I probably listened to just about all these records. Not all of them, but a couple dozen of them. Sometimes I won't give my analysis on the record initially because I hadn't listened to it yet and I'm just now reviewing it. But when I do, I'm just going to give it a number out of 10 rating, and I'm then going to review each song part of the album, and after that I'm going to give you my final answer as to what I think the record is like. So let's go ahead and get started with High Tide and Green Grass. When I first listened to High Tide and Green Grass, I thought it was great. There were many such hits such as, Satisfaction, or Time Is On My Side, or It's All Over Now, or 19th Nervous Breakdown. A bunch of really good songs are on this. And a particularly cool thing about this copy is the picture book that comes inside it. As you can see, there's pictures of them performing in the studio and stuff, so I thought that was really cool. There were 2 copies of this in the store when I got this. This was the one that was in better shape. It was $15. There was another copy in the same store, same price, $15, except it was in a lot worse shape. It did not include the picture book, so that may be a rip-off for the next person who buys that one. But, you know what, I guess I just got the right one. Initially, I would give this album a 7 out of 10, or maybe even 8 out of 10. And also, a little fun fact, the reason why I got this album is because I saw it in the film Almost Famous, which is a very good movie. And it's also how I got Bookends by Simon & Garfunkel, because that album was also in the movie and I decided to get that as well. The first track of High Tide and Green Grass is Satisfaction, which many consider to be the most recognizable song of the Rolling Stones. Now, other very recognizable songs, of course, include Painted Black, Sympathy for the Devil, and Jumpin' Jack Flash. The song was the first track of the B-side of the album Out of Our Heads, which I think is the 4th Rolling Stones album. The US version, obviously. So I pretty much say that for this track, it's a pretty good first track to a greatest hits album. While this song, The Last Time, is playing, I would just like to point out that the recordings that you are hearing were transferred from the record onto my computer because I have a mini record player that whenever I would play it on a certain software or record it on a software, it would transfer the songs to my computer, and I was able to fiddle with them and put them on iTunes. So those are the recordings you're hearing right now, not the master versions or the CD versions or anything like that. So I apologize if it sounds funky to you. The last time was the third track of Out of Our Heads, and I think that it bears a striking resemblance to the song I Can Hear the Grass Grow by The Move. I will show that footage right now.
I can hear the grass grow. I can hear the grass grow. I see rainbows in the evening.
To be honest, I never really noticed that until someone pointed it out in the comments section of it. They said, "Isn't the chorus, 'This will be the last time'?" And I said, huh, probably. But, you know, the song is actually very similar to the Beatles, as is many Rolling Stones songs being quite similar to the Beatles, though a lot of Rolling Stones songs do sound like their own, which is how it's supposed to sound. Still, The Last Time is not a bad song. One of the things that the Stones were known for was their energy, much portrayed by Mick Jagger on stage. One thing that the Stones don't get much credit for is their slow pieces, such as Beast of Burden, Wild Horses, and As Tears Go By. It's almost like it's not even the Stones, but like another band like Electric Light Orchestra, which doesn't even exist at the time. So the Stones were ahead of their time. The Stones. It's a funny way to say it. The song itself isn't very memorable, but it still is a nice piece to include in this album. Time Is on My Side, I would say, is sort of the theme for the movie Not Fade Away. And if you guys haven't seen that, I wouldn't recommend it. It's actually kind of awkward movie. But the story is basically this guy starts a rock band, and the Rolling Stones were basically his inspiration, especially the song Time Is on My Side, which the band covers in the movie, and that's actually quite good cover. And I kind of see it as the MacGuffin for the movie, as in the object that drives the story. Fact of the day right there. Now this song comes from the album 12x5, or 12 times 5, however you want to see it. It's another US release from the Rolling Stones, and the guitar that you hear in the opening and the solo, I believe, was not included in the original release. It was actually added in later, and to this day I still prefer this version over the original because the guitar has a very nice touch to it. Oh, now here's a good song. It's All Over Now. It's All Over Now is a very good Stones song. It not only features good guitars from Keith Richards and Brian Jones, but the drums as well as Mick Jagger's vocals give the song sort of a jumpy feel. You know, and it can't be matched by any other artist. While it does have a big Beatles feel to it, it's Jagger's vocals that really make it different from the rest. It is easily one of the best songs on this entire album. You think that with an album with so many good songs, it would mostly just be a plateau and just all peak, no valleys at all. Well, this song is a valley. Tell Me is an easily forgettable song, and I'm not even sure why they included it on this album. It doesn't have such a big of an impact as a lot of the other songs, such as Satisfaction and It's All Over Now, and it's just like the Stones doing a cover of the Beatles song I Want to Be Your Man. This is just a song that could be covered by any other artist and it would sound just as good, maybe even better. So basically, there are just some artists that can do this song better than the Stones. Here's one of the Stones songs that's recognized by many. It's another one of those big recognizable songs, and in my opinion, this is one of those songs that sounds a lot better when it's live, much like Jumpin' Jack Flash, same group, and even Poker by ELO, because it sounds just so much better whenever they're playing it on stage, much more energy. And 19th Nervous Breakdown, like, I guess it's because I've heard it live a lot and I prefer it live, but I don't see how this is a popular song. It doesn't have the same energy, it's just somehow different, which I don't mind. I don't mind if a song sounds any different from, their traditional stuff. But this does have a feel of uncertainty. Maybe I'm just going crazy. Here's a song that when I read the title, I usually just shy away from, but I just realized that it's actually a lot better of a song than I give it credit for. So here is visual proof to tell myself, or if I doubt myself later, Heart of Stone is awesome. It's an awesome song. It's a good slow tune, and it's got a very similar feel to That's How Strong My Love Is, which is on the Out of Our Heads album. And it's got a very soothing guitar sound by Richards, and it's a song that I would love to go back to for Jagger's vocals. And whenever he sings this Heart of Stone, it really makes me feel like I'm listening to Jim Morrison. Even though it's not as deep and it's not as ominous, it just seems like whenever he sings this Heart of Stone, I'm just like, you just went Morrison there. Which is weird, because the Doors weren't even around at this time. Get Off My Cloud, in my opinion, is a very overrated song. For example, whenever I'm listening to Rolling Stones on shuffle on my phone, and somebody goes, oh, what are you listening to? And I just go, oh, Get Off My Cloud. They're always just so excited. But why? Is it because of the catchy chorus? But it may be because of the chorus, but it just sounds like the Beatles to me. It just sounds too much like the Beatles. And I know that I'm comparing them to the Beatles a lot, and expect that in a lot of these reviews. I compare artists to some other artists a lot. But it feels like the Beatles, and maybe just a McCartney song. It just sounds like a straight up Paul McCartney song. It could be Wings, it could be a solo song. It sounds a lot like Paul McCartney wrote it, or just like recorded it. It doesn't have the same darkness or mystery as the rest of the Stones songs. It just seems like there was a single out there that needed an A-side, so they threw in Get Off My Cloud, and I don't know. I think it's another valley in the album. When they first started, the Rolling Stones did a lot of covers. In fact, I think Aftermath, which was like their 6th album or something like that, 87, was the first album when they had all original songs. In fact, Out of Our Heads with Satisfaction on it, that was one of the only very few original songs on there, because there were so many covers on there. And Not Fade Away is an awesome cover. That is one of the best covers of any Buddy Holly song I've ever heard. It is fantastic. I just want to learn it on guitar myself, but But for real, it is a very good song. It's a very good rendition of a Buddy Holly song. You know, the Buddy Holly original song. You know, it was like, ju 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 ju, and then the Rolling Stones like, and it's just like they took it a step or a few steps forward with it. And it is a very good song. I love it. It is fantastic. One of the best songs on the album. Good Times, Bad Times, no, it is not a cover of Led Zeppelin. However, I really wish it was. This song is another valley. Hidden by the many peaks of this album, it is just another valley. This song really shouldn't have been on this album. It should have been just left on 12 times 5 or 12x5 or whatever. I don't know who got the bright idea to put this song on the album, but it does not belong here. It is not a greatest hit. It is merely just another Rolling Stones song. It's just a casual song. And so I don't know why they included the song on here, because it doesn't work at all. It doesn't work. And, you know, like, it just basically sounds like The Doors if you replaced every instrument with a guitar and a harmonica and made Jim Morrison sober. This song should not have been on this. No, not at all. Whenever I listen to Play With Fire, I always think of Wes Anderson, because this song was used in one of his movies. I forgot which one it was, but it was used quite well, actually. You know, for the finale of this album, I think it's a very nice closer. It was one of the last songs on Out of Our Heads, and it's actually very soothing, but it's also very ominous. Because this album was sort of a gateway from, you know, the Stones' normal rock stuff into the like whole psychedelic late 60s Vietnam stuff that we all know of. And, you know, I think this is actually a very good way to show the Stones are changing. So, I think this is a very good ending for the album, and it's pretty good. It kind of sounds like, well, it kind of seems like a campfire song, except the s'mores are filled with ecstasy and everyone's turned into an Indian. Kind of like My Wild Love by The Doors, except not as chanty and more instruments. But it just seems like a campfire song that's just ominous. Like you're needing to watch your back, because the singer might beat the crap out of you because you're playing with fire. So, I think it's a fantastic ending to a very good album. Well, that was volume 1 of Big Hits by the Rolling Stones. Once again, it was called High Tide and Green Grass. I look for this album if I were you, because it's a very good addition to any music collection, especially if you're a Rolling Stones fan, or if you're even a vinyl fan. Get the vinyl version because it sounds very good. My copy's got a sticker on it from where it was previously sold in Mississippi or Massachusetts. I don't remember. But this thing I like about used records is they've been on a journey. You know, through many stores, through many people's homes. And this is actually very good. After listening to it again, I think I'm going to give High Tide and Green Grass a 9 out of 10. I would give it a 10 out of 10, except the valleys of this album sort of bring it down a bit. But other than that, it's still a very good album. I would pick it up. It was $15 for me, so who knows how much it'll cost in other stores. Okay, so that was part 1 of this 2-part Rolling Stones record reviews, episode 1. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to review Volume 2, Through the Past Darkly. Perfect. Welcome everybody to Record Review. I'm David Bell, your host. A few minutes ago, I just reviewed High Tide and Green Grass by the Rolling Stones. It is volume 1 of their 2-volume big hits. I'm now reviewing Through the Past Darkly. No, this was not cut. This is how the record is supposed to look. Now, when this was first manufactured, they used an octagonal shape. Of course, these days they would just go with the regular square, so this might be an original pressing. I can only hope. So, what can I say about Through the Past Darkly? Remembering this album when I first heard it, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10, but that's really all I can say about it. Let's take a listen. I think we can all agree that Painted Black is awesome. It's been featured in commercials, games, movies, pretty much anything you can think of. It's a prime example of what the Rolling Stones is really about, because Painted Black is actually a very dark song, asking something to be painted black. So basically, that's pretty much all it is. This song has also been featured in our sponsor, Guitar Hero Live. We don't have a sponsor, but it'd be nice to get some money off these videos every once in a while. Anyways, Painted Black is actually a very good song for the Vietnam time. Not really sure if it's based on Vietnam, but I need to check my history on that. Still, this isn't just about Vietnam. This is about music, and Painted Black is a very, very good song. It's a great start to this hopefully promising album.
She would never say where she came from. Yes.
Did I mention that I hated a lot of the stuff that the Stones did psychedelically? They did a lot of psychedelic stuff during the late 60s, and I think it's terrible. I mean, take the album Her Satanic Majesty's Request. I despise that album. Thanks, Brian Jones and Obama. Now, why am I mentioning this now? Well, just listen to the flutes and the strings. The strings are not yet perfected for music yet, and neither are the flutes. So, just know, they're so irritating in the song. However, the chorus fixes everything, and the verses actually do make a big build-up for the chorus. So that's something to look out for, but as a start, it's a bit rough on the irritatingly side. Let's move on. Speaking of Satanic Majesty's Request, look who it is. One of the songs from it. And not surprisingly, this is actually the best song on the album. But here, it's just another valley. This song is despicable. This is what really ticks me off about this album. Everything is like, it reminds me of the Renaissance and medieval times, and it just ticks me off. I mean, this is the friggin' 60s. Not the 1660s. I'm sorry. I apologize to the fans of Satanic Majesty's Request, but I hate that album. I hate it. Ugh. Please, just move on to the next song. If you've ever seen the Rolling Stones live, ever, you probably know that this is one of their signature live songs, is Jumpin' Jack Flash. I remember when I said back a few minutes ago that some songs sound a lot better live, such as Poker by ELO and 19th Nervous Breakdown, also by the Rolling Stones. This song does sound a lot better live. The guitars aren't growly enough, they're not distorted enough, they just sound all clean and high-pitched and stuff. And it's ridiculous. It might just be the record itself. I don't blame the record, I blame the recorders. You dirty recorders.
What a drag it is getting old.
Finally, another awesome song. Mother's Little Helper is one of my favorite songs on this album and one of my favorite Stone songs overall. It's about a mother who gets addicted to prescription drugs. That might be a bad way to put why I like this song, but it's actually very catchy, and it's actually something that does belong in the Vietnam-esque zone. It's got a dark tone to it, but it's got sort of like a jumpy sort of thing. You know, it's jumpy, but it's dark. It's not gritty, but it's dark. It's actually kind of hard to explain how good this song is, but I think Brian Jones really shined on this song as well as Painted Black, both of which were featured on Aftermath. I think Mother's Little Helper in the UK version and Painted Black in the US version, since both songs are not on the same album. Until now! See, this is what I was talking about with guitars. Even though this is obviously a bass, or sounds like it, it could be a guitar. That is out of tune. Good thing I got that practice session in. What was that? I needed to figure something out? Where's that in the script? Right. This is the third best song in the album. Honky Tonk Women is probably one of the most recognizable songs of the Rolling Stones, along with another song that is coming later. The guitars sound catchy, and once again, including a good sound as Let's Spend the Night Together. The vocals and the chorus are awesome, and I definitely consider this as one of the best songs on this album, reaching, like I said, the third highest. Okay guys, let's get something straight here. This song is not on Satanic Majesty's request, but I might as well will be. This song is horrible. It reminds me too much of the freaking Satanic Majesty's request, and I freaking hate its guts. However, it's got the same feel as Ruby Tuesday. But while that song is actually good, this song is atrocious. It really sounds like it belongs on Satanic Majesty's request. It might as well be a bonus track or just add it in once they release it again as sort of like a bonus version or something, like remastered or something like they did with Sticky Fingers, something like that. But this song is garbage. Lowest point on the album. There's too much Satanic Majesty's request on this album. Too much. Thank you. The song was boring anyways. This is an awesome song. This is awesome. This song should have been on High Tide and Green Grass. Even though it was released after the album, this song is still a very high peak on this album. It is one of the best songs that I've ever heard in my entire life. Alright, good one. Street Fighting Man. This is another one of those songs you would hear on the radio a lot, which isn't surprising because this is also a very good song. What's weird is that this song was featured on the Beggar's Banquet album. Why is that weird? Well, because you know what another song that was featured on that album? Sympathy for the Devil. Now I do not know why it was not released on this album. In fact, this album was released in 1969. Beggar's Banquet was released in 1968, so there's not really that much of an excuse for it. I'm sure that it was featured on Hot Rocks or something, but I don't know, it's kind of disappointing that that's not here. Street Fighting Man's also a good song. So basically, to bring a conclusion to this album is that Through the Past Darkly is correct because this album should not have seen the light of day. Some of the songs on this album should have just been on their own album called like Satanic Majesty's Request Volume 2 or something. And you know what's sad is that this was pretty much the last album that Brian Jones was featured on. I mean, the last full album. As you can see, this is him right here. He doesn't look that good. Well, this was when he was on the verge of being lost from the band. This is when he really started getting into drugs. And it kind of shows from how he looks. He looks dreadful. So, overall, I guess I would give Through the Past Darkly a 6 out of 10. Because there are just so many songs on it that it should have just been left off of the album, while other songs such as Sympathy for the Devil could have been on this. I guess this album was sort of like a farewell to Brian Jones, so they wanted to feature as much of him as possible. But if they wanted to do that, they should have released their own album, you know, just like Brian Jones Anthology or something. But, you know, the album is not terrible, it's just an album. There's a lot of really good songs, but there's quite a few bad ones as well. Well, thank you all for joining me for the first episode of Record Reviews. I'm David Bell, your host. If you've seen any record on the wall here that you'd like for me to review, then go ahead and ask for it in the comment section below, and I will be happy to review it for any of you guys. Over time, I should be able to get more records over time, which means that I'll be able to have different records on my wall. And if there's a record that you've seen in this episode that you don't end up seeing in another episode later, let me know, because I probably still have it. It's just locked away in the closet somewhere, and I will be happy to review for you guys. So go ahead and leave your suggestions in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of the show. I would love to do more episodes. And until then, stay classy, everyone.